that he'd made it over here by sea. He's since been in phone contact with a man called Provone, who's arranging a fake European Union passport for him. As the Canaries are Spanish territory, once he gets it, he can travel freely from here to anywhere in Europe, even Britain. Since we haven't finished the Article 50 negotiations and left the EU yet. The Peugeot merged onto a motorway. "You know where he is right now?" asked Eddie. "In a villa outside Playa de las Americas." "So, why haven't you grabbed him already?" "As I said, we don't know what he looks like. There are no known photos of him. And he has at least 9 guards at the villa, all armed. We don't want to risk a bloodbath. We want him alive." Eddie cocked an eyebrow. "Why? If it were up to me, I'd just shoot the sod and be done with it." "Not my department, I'm afraid," said Alderley. "This is a field operation, so technically I'm only here to advise the officer in charge." "OK, technically I'm not here at all, but you know what I mean." "So, who's the OIC?" "John Bryce, one of our top field men." "John Bryce?" Eddie echoed, scoffing. "What is it with spies having the initials JB? James Bond, Jason Bourne, Jack Bauer, and now this guy. Surprised you didn't change your name to Jethro Bollocks or something." Alderley chuckled. "Not sure my wife would have wanted to become Mrs. Bollocks. Anyway, he's got surveillance photos of the men in the compound. If you can ID Makobo, Bryce can take it from there. You couldn't have just emailed me the pictures?" "MI6 doesn't generally send classified imagery via Gmail." "Suppose not," said Eddie, amused. "All right, let's get this over with." Alderley brought him to one of Playa de las Americas' numerous hotels, and then to its bar. "Why aren't I surprised to find a spy hanging out in here?" said Eddie. "There he is." "Oh," said Alderley with distinct disapproval, on seeing that the man they'd come to meet was seated in a corner with a tanned young woman in a bikini. Bryce whispered to her, then stood to usher her away with a swat to her backside as the visitors approached. She headed for a swimming pool outside. "Who was that?" "Nobody," said Bryce, shaking Alderley's hand. "Peter." He faced Eddie, blue eyes, looking the stocky, shaven-headed Yorkshireman up and down, and not appearing particularly impressed. "And Eddie Chase." "That's me," said Eddie, giving Bryce an assessment of his own. Late 30s, tall, sharply handsome, jet-black hair conservatively yet carefully styled. His clothing was similarly neat, overdone for the climate, but the athletic MI6 officer didn't seem the kind to break a sweat for much. There was a glass of whisky before him. "John Bryce." He briefly shook Eddie's hand, then sat again. "I assume Peter's told you why you're here." "Yeah, Makobo," said Eddie. "You need me to ID him for you." "That's right." Bryce opened a slim laptop. "Our pictures of the men in the villa are here." A few clicks, then he slid the machine to Eddie. "Oh, screen facing the wall, if you don't mind. Wouldn't want anyone looking over your shoulder." "Your girlfriend have clearance, did she?" said Eddie, irked by the younger man's patronising tone. He sat with the wall behind him, then regarded the screen. The image, taken with a telephoto lens, was of a scowling black man in mirrored sunglasses. "That's not him. Too young." "Swipe through to the next one," said Alderley. Eddie did so. The next man was older, but also unfamiliar. "By the way, I read your file, Chase," said Bryce. "Interesting career you've had." "Yeah," Eddie replied, bringing up the next image. "Yes. Edward Jeremy Chase, born 1975, joined the army at 16 the day after finishing your GCSEs, so the earliest possible time allowed by law." "Problems at home?" "None of your business," was the irritated reply. "Served competently but unremarkably," Bryce went on, unfazed. "As a squaddy for 6 years with a promotion to corporal, then applied to join the Special Air Service. On your first selection attempt, passed the endurance test, jungle training and escape and evasion phases, but failed on tactical questioning and returned to unit." Alderley was surprised. "You didn't pass first time?" "Tactical questioning is basically being tortured," said Eddie. "Whatever they do, you're only supposed to give them your name, rank and serial number, or say, 'I'm sorry, but I can't answer that question.'" "So, what did you say?" "One of the interrogators started on about how he'd shagged my mum, so I told him I'd shagged his girlfriend, which I had." He grinned, exposing the gap between his front teeth. "He got pretty annoyed with me." "I can imagine." Bryce exhaled impatiently. "Reapplied the following year, this time succeeded. Joined 22 SAS.